Welcome to another episode of Sound It Out. With Cailin and Shanida.
Hi.
This is episode 2.
Episode dos.
We're here again in DC. Shanida came here, thank goodness, from New York to come record this episode. We're really excited to talk more about Lucy Calkins and soon to be happening lawsuits. But first we should do a little catch up.
I think we agreed that we were going to start with you because we had a morning.
I told Shanida I wasn't sure what my catch up was going to be. And she looked at me like I had 10 heads because we had a big
It was
morning.
a big morning.
So the original plan was Shanida was going to sleep in, do her thing, whatever. And I take Rye to school, my 4-year-old, and then I take Lola to gymnastics class. And
when we were talking about it last night at dinner, and I was like, oh, but I'm not going to get to see Rye.
Right. And when I told you what time we leave in the morning, you're like,
I could do that.
So Rye hops on his bike. And before that, actually, his sister showed up ready to also get in her stroller and take the ride with us in his coat. And it sent him into a spiral. So ultimately, if you know, your child is ticked off by something and it just kind of doesn't immediately go away. He tried to ride away from us on his bike multiple times. We reached the park across the street from the school where lots of community members are, and specifically parents of children in Rye's school and class. And Rye jumped off of the bike and was running around circles around the statue, the main park, and I was chasing him.
And I was with Lola, and we were kind of just watching, and then also just like talking about fashion. Mind you, Lola's too.
She was talking about her socks.
We were talking about her socks.
Yeah.
And then she and I were talking about how, Rye was having a bit of a rough morning, and we said, it's okay.
Running.
There's
There's other mothers pretending not to watch us, watching us.
a lady with the dog.
Lady with the dog had a lot of opinions in her eyes.
Yeah.
And this is, all apparently still just about this jacket that Lola's wearing, this raincoat. Suddenly, Shanida calls me over, and Rye, both of us over, because...
not even like a tiny little blop. A huge bird poop, like...
all over Lola.
Jelly
the jacket.
Splat. Amazing.
It's really just a terrible story. I thought it would be funny. I thought
it was funny.
I thought it was going to be funny because it ends with the bird pooping on the jacket, but it was just a really tough morning. And so... thank goodness I had Shanida with me to take care of Lola, although questionable that Shanida might have initiated Rye's meltdown because he doesn't take well to strangers and gets very shy. So, but
and that was the first thing that he said this morning, and he said, "Remember, Mom, I'm shy." Yeah. So I backed away and was like, "Bye." So
who knows? Anyway, it happened, and
I thought it was great. It was great for me as a non-parent to see, this is hard. This is exhausting.
I just want to reiterate, it's not the norm.
No, at all. And I think it's not the norm because, I'm not the norm. I'm not usually here. They see me every once in a while. Yeah.
As I was chasing him around the statue, I was thinking to myself, I'm actually surprised I haven't been in this situation yet. Here we are. I'm chasing my screaming child around. He continued to cry all the way into the lobby of the building. Tried to bring him into the class. He was still crying. We went outside of the classroom again. We read some books. I brought him to his cubby. We remarked how nice it was for me to be helping him unpack in his cubby. He also remarked that Victor's mom does it every morning. So... that's good to know.
And then you got the update from the teacher.
Well, the teacher was so nice. They were in morning meeting. Ryan and I made our way around, and the morning meeting had a natural pause, and everyone was like... And his amazing teacher said, we were wondering what's happening with Ryan. Mm-hmm. And I said, do you want me to tell, or do you want to tell? And he said, you tell, and I explained that he was upset about his sister wearing his jacket, but ultimately a bird pooped on it, and then people were telling stories of places they've seen birds poop, including someone's head directly, not even on the jacket, and so that was really nice. I think it ultimately ended with Rye feeling the love of his classroom and understanding that it was the only thing that quickly changed his mood. I mean, I tried everything, but he was so hot that he, I couldn't really speak to him. And he really regulated when he was in his classroom community. And there's no better gift than that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I've been in situations with him where I'm dropping him off and it's causing dysregulation. And this was the opposite. It was regulating. It was calming. It was comforting to him. So, that's my catch up. That's just all I can think about right now. It's just the come down from a crazy morning.
Yeah, and I'm just glad I was there to see it. It was, yeah, it was great. So on that note, I think we can either jump right in, because
You want to jump right in?
6 minutes in, yeah. Should we just go into what we're loving, or?
You're not going to give me any deep?
Oh, well, I mean, okay, yes.
A little.
So my little catch up is that my mom, after 70 years of living in the United States of America and having both her father, her mother, and her 2 brothers are American citizens, my mom she had her naturalization ceremony on Wednesday. And it was really, it was very emotional. And like, we were in a room full of people with their little flags, and it was just really great. And then I took her to Francis Tavern.
Oh, I didn't even ask what you guys did after.
And it was really nice because she didn't believe me that like this has been since like 1719, something like that. And it's been, and it's been there forever.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. And I am going to remark one thing, and I wasn't going to say this, but I did feel like the person who led the ceremony was kind of negative.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she was, I mean, I understand that a lot of people feel that way, but in a ceremony that's like so full of like accomplishing that American dream and like becoming a part of this like amazing country, even though, yes, we are in very trying times and like I'm the first to like agree with that, I just thought her negativity was like not necessary and it wasn't balanced.
Like what
she said, she's like, we are in unprecedented times and we're not in a really great place in the United States right now. And like you could hear people like, what? Like, oh, like, yes, but like back it up with something else. Like give us some joy, give us some hope on the other end of that. Don't just like mess up the vibe. Like it just was, she brought down the vibe.
Also, I think it's kind of exclusive of reasons why people decide to become citizens.
Yeah.
It's not just because they think the United States is incredible and they want to be a part of it. It's much, I think, more individual than that. And it feels a little closed-minded.
Yeah, and that's what bothered me. Like, and then I'm like, also, you work for this government, right? That you're a part of this.
Yeah.
So like,
just like do better at your job.
Yeah, just like and so that was my thing. But it was otherwise.
Shift your career.
Maybe
the right profession.
But either way, it was really great to see, and she wore her bright red sweater.
It's really.
And now I just keep calling her. I keep singing to her. She's beauty and she's great. She's Miss United. Yeah. Or just Miss USA.
Yeah, she is Miss USA.
She is Miss USA. I mean, after 70 years. I was with her when she did the interview, and they asked her all those questions.
Yes.
She was like, everything. She knew, because they asked, how many wars has the United States been a part of?
Ooh,
I mean, it's like 1, 2, right?
Right. I know of 2, so I would say between 3 to 5.
Yeah, and then they were like, name one more, and she said Korea. Didn't even remember that because my grandpa was in it. That's why.
Same. Yeah.
Crazy, but like she did really like. I love my mom, and everybody who knows Lucy, she's my lady.
No, I'm really proud of her.
I am too. Anyway, so that's all I got.
Faves and Rex.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have two. My first is kind of related to last time. I was talking about goals.
Time blocking.
Yeah.
Time blocking?
Yeah.
Like, I made that up. That was a guess.
No, it was something, it was like that.
Goal set. Time blocking.
Habit stacking?
Brain dump. Habit.
Brain dumping?
Brain dumping.
All of the above.
Yeah,
anyway, there's this app called Claude.
We did a training, an AI training, and they mentioned it. Go ahead.
I love Claude. So I came home to Lex recently, my husband, and it was like, I found this amazing app. It's so fantastic. Because I spend so much time blocking.
Time blocking.
I was saying. I spend so much time. That is what you said, I think. Time blocking. Like, it's great once it's set up, but it takes me forever to decide how many minutes should each thing take and what order should it go in. So Claude, I have my running to-do list, and like on the walk home from dropping Rye off at school, or like if I'm just doing, I go, hey Claude. And I explain to him my whole day, starting at 9 a.m. and my day ending at 6:30 p.m. and I have to see students from 4 to 6 p.m. and I have to pick up Lola at 12:50. I also want to, and I list everything I want to do without timing. And then he gives me an outline of my day. So he tells me at what time I should do each thing, and he decides for me how long I should take doing each thing. And then I can tweak it if I need to, but I am obsessed with it. And so I'm telling Lex, I'm like, this is incredible. Claude. And he goes, welcome to AI. Like, everyone's been doing this for a really long time. I like that it's packaged as a European man named Claude.
Yeah.
That's all I needed.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better. Yeah. I really enjoy him.
He has a bit of an accent.
Yeah.
He's knowledgeable.
Yeah, and like granted, like he doesn't even talk to me, but
no.
And then my other fave is
you with the book.
I brought the book. I had to. So I sit down at the library where I see students a lot, and a student is late, so I'm just kind of looking around, and this book is literally sitting there, and it's incredible because it is about issues in education that I'm currently, as a parent in DC, trying to understand. So it's called Learning in Public, Lessons for Racially Divided America from My Daughter's School, written by Courtney E. Martin. So basically it takes place, this mother's raising her child in Oakland. She learns that white families in their gentrifying neighborhood largely avoided the majority Black, poorly rated school.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
As we were talking about, like, we enter this lottery in DC to try to lottery into schools that we think are better. And, like, I hate to say it, but when you look at the stats, these schools that are better, have better test scores, better reputations, are largely white.
Right.
And I'm, like, just trying to understand the disparities on a greater level than I hear on blogs and in the news and, like, chatting with friends. So this book is the story not just of this mother's journey, but of a whole country's.
Does it talk about redlining? Because remember, that was like a huge thing, like in the 60s and 70s, I think even before that, of like where there were these districts that were like, this is where all, right?
Yes. So she examines her fears, assumptions, and conversations with other parents as they navigate school choice.
Wow.
And like all of the feelings that come with school choice, the guilt, the guilt, the confusion. I think it can be empowering, but also there's things like when we were touring all of the schools that we could lottery last year, I remember just thinking about things that aren't spoken about, such as how lucky was I to be able to go to the school tour. The school tours are typically like 9 to 10:30 in the morning.
Right.
And there'll be some like later in the evenings, but it doesn't, like, what about people that are either working or don't have aftercare, or like, I was so lucky to even be able to tour the schools, and so I'm only, here's my bookmark. So I can't speak too much to it, but I think it's incredible. And Oakland, obviously, I imagine is going to be full of a lot of diversity and experience. So yeah, those are my...
Wow. No, that's really great. Mine are not as deep. And I don't care. My first one is morphology, which you can tell me a little bit about, because we did our, at the school that I work at in New York City, which is a private independent school, we have a literacy coordinator, and she organized this workshop where you got to go to all these different little tables, and like each table was set up with a different aspect of literacy education, or like what people are using in their classes. And one of the ones that I really loved was morphology. And it's this ISME. That's the...
Yeah.
What does it even stand for? Like I said, I didn't go that deep. Basically, OG, which is Orton Gillingham, which is a phonics program, the upper grade version of it. And I really, I'm obsessed. And so I'm going to see if I can get our head of school to... Oh, here we go.
International...
What does it say?
Oh,
and I have my special lens.
Special glasses.
I can't even read the little green part. I can only see the multi-sensory.
Shanida came downstairs and said, I have my special glasses on. I can't see them.
So I can't see what I've written, but I can't see the screen.
We don't have time. It's the Institute for Multisensory Education, and they run Orton Gillingham trainings, of extremely popular online course. But yeah.
And I love this idea. So morphology, it's looking at suffix, prefix, like the endings, the beginnings of words, the etymology, which I right now have I told you, did I tell you this? I have a student, and she's in 4th grade, and it's like, how do I do red words?
Yeah.
So we've been doing them, and I've been adding in morphology, and what we do is we sort the words as to what language we think the words are from, which
it's so fun. It's also a really good segue into what we're talking about.
I know, exactly.
It's like phonics for big kids.
For big kids. So it's I feel like, because they have more of appreciation. So now what I think is really cute, and I won't say her name, but I love her very much. She will look at a word and be like, I think that's French. But I love that she's starting to see that there's these patterns. Yeah. And it's just really great. And then my other thing, again, but I need to give this man a plug. Anthony Dickey from Hair Rules. He cut my hair. I mean, I'm wearing it straight right now. But he is amazing. And he's a wealth of knowledge. He also has a podcast called Sitting in My Chair. Yes. So look for it. We'll put it in the production notes. Anthony Dickey, amazing. If you're a person of color, if you have curly hair, if you have wavy hair, even if you're not a person of color, he is amazing. And I love him very much. And
who's sitting in my chair?
Yeah.
That's like
I think that's the name. And then that's it. And then I've just been reading, and that's what I love right now.
What we're speaking about, last episode we talked a ton about Lucy Calkins and our relationship with her curriculum, or curricula, because...
Oh, that's right.
She does...
Because...
Go ahead.
I think... So... as you know, for those of you who are listening to us, so like my mom, your husband, your children, and like maybe 2 of my friends, you know, this is our first podcast. And so I think I'm blaming myself, because I got very excited when we were talking about Lucy Calkins and the curricula and curriculum that she has. And I just one of my friends pointed out that we might have been using the word curricula with an A at the end incorrectly, because curricula means the plural. So more than one curriculum. However, I do feel like there were many times where we were using it correctly, but maybe the article before it was incorrect. So I said a curricula as opposed to the curricula. I don't know.
But we were referencing how Lucy Calkins has a reading and a writing.
And a writing curriculum.
But we're going to zero in on just the reading curriculum.
And I feel like our central idea, right, is just we want to kind of recap what we talked about in our last episode, and then move into the lawsuit, which is going on right now. Very excited to talk more about. So yeah. So I think we talked about Lucy Calkins, who is the creator of the reading and writing program and project at Columbia University. Her curricula, because there's more than one, was then taken and integrated into 1 out of 4 schools in the United States. And then through, most in particular, COVID, parents started seeing or noticing or recognizing that their kids weren't getting the reading instruction that they needed, and saw that the program was failing to serve students and their needs. And then, I don't want to say scapegoating, but basically tearing her apart and tearing apart the curriculum itself, saying that phonics was taken out of it. So there was this reading program
that is never present.
And it was, yeah, exactly. And I think two of the biggest parts of this is one side is saying, and the side that is against the program is saying that it explicitly said not to teach phonics. Whereas Lucy Calkins and the other, I'm not just speak for her, but Lucy Calkins was saying, but I never explicitly said that, right? And she also doubles down many times in the articles that we were reading, and she was talking about saying that it would be foolish for a teacher or administration to think that you can't have a reading program and a phonics program integrated as well. So that this is kind of like preposterous. Like, who would do that, right? But it's actually what's been happening. So I think that's where we're at now, is there's a lawsuit, which
I think after our first podcast went live, the lawsuit was announced.
Yes.
So now we want to just dig into the lawsuit
itself,
which is still in the discovery phase. So all of the information that we were able to find was from December 2024, and there's nothing updated
as of now. Yeah, 2024. No, because it was December. Yeah. So basically, the lawsuit is a consumer rights and consumer protection. You know, the person who invests money in a program, they are allowed to ask for their money back because they feel like it was fraudulent and it was false advertising. So that they're saying that the creators, the program itself, and the publishers who pushed this program claim that it was research-based when it actually wasn't, because a lot of their data is based on anecdotal information. And this lawsuit is they're saying it's like history-making because it's not the same as the other lawsuits that have come out, which were more citing violation of students' rights in education. It's more of curriculum marketing as opposed to, there was one thing I wanted to read, educational malpractice. So they're not citing educational malpractice, they're citing curriculum marketing. And I think does that sound?
Yeah. Yeah, and they're seeking a class action status so that other Massachusetts families could be represented. So it's just important to note that this is right now happening in Massachusetts. And the suit asks that the punishment be compensation.
Yeah.
And the requirement that the defendants warn schools and families of the defects of their product.
Yeah. And I feel like the big part of it is, okay, like say this whole thing goes through, who's going to pay? Like, how is that going to be?
Well, yeah.
Because it's a large amount of people who, are involved in this.
So past literacy lawsuits that have now been brought back to the surface because of this reporting. In 2020, California agreed, the state of California agreed to pay $53 million in a settlement case. And Michigan agreed to provide Detroit schools with $94.4 million in aid for literacy programs. So those were state-based. Yeah, this would be, the publishing company. So, So it's Heinemann, Fountas and Pinnell, Lucy Calkins, and I think
Columbia University, yeah.
I think that's I think you packaged that up perfectly.
I think moving in where we wanted to veer into was that, we had the whole thing with the
wars. Okay, so this is interesting too.
And this is kind of going to the origin of like how Lucy Calkins became the gold standard for reading education, right? Why she got to where she was, and like why we're in this predicament now.
So this has been categorized, this lawsuit and the controversy that Sold a Story, the podcast, brought up, has been categorized as a continuation of the reading wars, which started in 2001 when President George W. Bush.
I can't. Sorry, I'm gonna say this out loud. I'm really proud of him. Like, wow. Okay. I had no idea. She's awful. I know. I'm awful. She being me. Like, good for you. Sorry.
He had a lot of bad press.
Yeah, but this was, and you'll hear more why. And this is why. This is why. No Child Left Behind.
He signs into law No Child Left Behind. Yeah. And this required federally funded schools, so Title I schools, to adopt this program, Reading First. And this was a phonics-based approach, and it was inspired by the 2000 National Reading Panel report that had scientifically grounded methods of teaching proven to be effective, these being what we now call science of reading instruction.
And that was his Reading First program.
Yeah, so that happens and launches in 2001. I remember being a teacher. No, I was a teacher lead when, there was just a lot of negative talk about it. So enter the progressive teachers and the teachers unions. And I think I heard a lot of the chatter about it because in my beginning years as a teacher, I really rode hard for the progressives. And yeah, so I just thought I heard children.
Same.
So in come the progressives and the teachers unions rejecting Reading First, this curriculum that was implemented by No Child Left Behind. And they're promoting balanced literacy, which frames teacher-directed instruction as outdated. And I remember this too. I remember there being so much negative talk about, you're picturing desks in a row, the teachers in the front just telling you what to do, rote memorization. And it was framing Reading First to be that way. And they wanted to focus.
And I was I was just going to jump in and say there's this whole thing with the media that they were saying, and the reason why they were coming at this way was because they were saying reading comprehension wasn't having an impact by this program. They were decoding, sounding out words that they could read fluently, but it was just their understanding of reading comprehension. It wasn't through the roof. It wasn't I guess too students weren't loving reading, but it was doing well. It was fine, and I'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah. So, but backing up a little bit, the progressives and the teachers unions wanted to promote this student-centered approach, and not have this teacher-led instruction. So then in 2008, the Institute of Education Sciences conducted an impact study to see how Reading First was doing. And it was found that there were significant gains by students who were partaking in Reading First, and their gains were specifically in the areas of phonemic awareness, decoding, and fluency, being major pillars of being able to read. Right? So in the early years, you're learning to read, so that in the later years, 3rd and 4th grade, you're reading to learn.
Right.
And that's where, comprehension strategies are really needed. But in these early years, we can't read to learn if we don't know how to read.
Right.
And so, yes, of course, comprehension is important and it's part of it. But
it's also developmentally, there are benchmarks within that for reading comprehension, right? Understanding a story, understanding beginning, middle, and end, that kind of thing, as opposed to this higher learning from reading, right? Which would come later, as you just said.
Right. So what happens is, even though this study shows that Reading First is providing excellent results and children are learning how to read, the progressive groups, the teacher unions, whomever, they push hard to say, yes, but their comprehension levels are not skyrocketing. And again, like we just said, that's not the whole picture. Ultimately, this causes Reading First to be defunded and leaves an open space. And this is where Lucy Calkins' units of study and Fountas and Pinnell's leveled literacy intervention come in. And then fast forward to 2022, the Sold a Story podcast comes out, and the NAEP 2022 reading assessments show only 32% of fourth graders are reading at or above proficiency.
Mind you, this is also with the hit of COVID.
Right. Yeah. So NAEP, just quickly, NAEP is the National Assessment of Educational Progress. It measures what students in public and private schools do in various subjects, I think specifically math and reading. But it's only required in schools receiving Title I funding for reading and math in 4th and 8th grade.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of private schools, I've never been in a private school that actually implemented it, the testing.
No, me neither.
Anyway, these NAEP results in 2022 of 32% of 4th graders reading at or above proficiency results in the Massachusetts lawsuit.
Yeah.
So I think it was also obviously in combination with multiple other factors, like parents seeing how their children were being taught to read when they were virtually learning, and also the podcast Sold a Story.
Yeah.
Made huge waves. So that's the lawsuit. The reading wars are important to know because I think it's important to have the historical background of how teachers are looking at, not just teachers really, it's the parent unions too. It's interesting, we spoke a little bit about this off recording, that initially there was pushback from parent unions on the way that Reading First was teaching and that it was too teacher directed. And they wanted more of a student-centered approach. But now we're on the flip side, where parents are filing lawsuits because there wasn't enough direct instruction.
And I think this is the point we came to last time, is like finding a balance. What is wrong with a balance of teacher-led and student-centered? And even like what Lucy wanted to do with her program was, at the heart of it, is to teach students to love reading and to teach students, you know, to encourage and foster that love and have student advocacy and have them picking out the books that they want to read. And, you know, and that's wonderful and great, but then there's a time and a place for all of that. Teachers can also give directed specific lessons. What did we used to call them when we worked together? It would be like, oh, we're going to have, not a one-off, but we called it something else. Standalone. To have standalone phonics lessons. You need that. You can't have it all be one thing or all the other. And then we talked about this the last time as well, is that one size isn't going to fit all. You can't just, oh, this is amazing, everybody. No, we know this now. There has to be differentiated instruction. There has to be, you know, we don't all learn the same. We don't all take in things the same. Like, we can't just assume this is going to be it. And I think that's where also we were talking about earlier today, Common Core and having standards and a scope and sequence, right? There are things that those things provide where, yes, we're all on the same page, that these are the outcomes that are developmentally appropriate for children of this grade. If they're outside of that, you differentiate for that. If they're inside of that, fantastic, whatever. But we have to have some kind of like understanding that it's not one size fits all. I don't know, because I feel like that's the core of this too, is like, oh, you're not teaching phonics. You're just teaching this. You want the kids to love how to read. Why can't it be all of that at the same time?
I think the standalone piece is a big part of it. When, you know, I remember one very specific part of the reading, of Lucy Calkins' reading curriculum that is under fire, is the cueing method, the 3 cueing.
Yeah.
So where students are told to look at the picture and look at the first letter of the sentence and like, does it feel right? Like, you just kind of have to guess what the word is. I remember thinking that that was a really great tool to teach my students so that they could have something to work on by themselves while I was pulling my differentiated reading group and needed them to be independently reading.
And they were strategies that you could say, oh, you have these 3, because I remember we had the posters and I sent them to you and you're like, I don't want to look at this. But it's like one says, habits good readers do. Bad habits readers do, or bad readers' habits. And one is like the freeze, where they come to a word they don't know. But then did
it say bad readers?
It does at the top. Yeah, pull it up.
Oh God, I like blocked that out.
And then one of them was like the mumble. And then another one was, I forget what it is. Like where you're just guessing.
It says pick up a good habit, and there's check the picture, look at the parts of the word, or check it, or drop that bad
habit.
Freeze, mumble.
But it says things good readers do. Yeah. Ask a teacher. But then there's also like, look at all the parts of the word. Then there's another one that said, does it make sense? So, like, you're supposed to be able to look at the word and go, it looks like the word alphabet, but I said ambulance, right? But say I look at the word alphabet and I say xylophone, does that make sense? No, because there's an A at the... Like, it's all... You want these children to do all of these things that aren't really helpful in having them have a good foundation in reading.
I'm watching Lola.
I'm like, who's outside?
Lola's getting ready. Don't wave at her. She probably wants to come in and say hi.
Oh.
Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So that's just an example, quick example of how I remember teaching those strategies, but I never thought that they were the culminating, or they were the entire story of how I would teach a child to read. I thought they were wonderful ways to have a child feel empowered, like they had a couple tools in their belt when they were reading independently, because I couldn't be helping them because I was doing an explicit phonics lesson with another leveled group, right? So, which leads me into kind of where I feel like I fall in all of this. In the first episode where we spoke about this, and at the beginning of my research of this lawsuit, I was feeling continually frustrated because I always instinctually had the idea that this would be a piece of my curriculum. This would not be the entire way that I teach children how to read. But then after learning more about these lawsuits, so like the California lawsuit, Ella T versus the state of California, parents wanted to improve approaches to discipline, which were causing students to miss out on learning time, and also the children being disciplined were causing tons of disruptions in the classroom. It was a response to, which is a pattern that's found in many low-income schools. Also, class sizes were so large that differentiation was impossible. Yeah. There were few or no instructional coaches or literacy experts, and mentoring and professional development were very rare. Also, the other really popular state that I mentioned in Michigan, very, very similar scenario where these, thinking about me being frustrated that not every teacher had the instinct to pair the Lucy Calkins curriculum with additional phonics instruction makes me feel...
But I am going to jump in and interrupt you, because it's not... In a lot of these schools, it's not up to the teacher. And that's what there was an article that we read about, like, what teachers are saying about the lawsuits, and it's like, they were going along with this because this is what they were told they needed to use. So if a teacher is noticing it, it's not like and I feel like not everybody had the privilege that we had working at a private school and a startup school as well, where we could say, hey, we're noticing that we need to have a more foundational approach to phonics. We didn't need to have a separate curriculum of phonics to help students, in K through 2. Not every school, especially like where they're, under this district and like local government, will allow them to go and veer off and add something. It's like you have to use the prescribed method, or else you're like going against, right? And I feel like not everybody could say that, or people did say it and they were like, no. This is tested. This is true. It's Columbia University. It's Lucy Calkins. It's what we're going to use. And that's it. So they were kind of, their hands were tied where they had to go back into the classroom and use this, and not everybody's going to be, it's not like in Star Wars where, the rebels are going to come in and like, I had to bring in Star Wars. I love Star Wars, but like, not everybody's going to do that where they're going to be like, F this and like, do their own thing. And I think that's where we're at now too, because we were talking about this earlier, is like, okay, and this is gonna, and just looking at time, this is gonna go into our next episode, is like, now the Department of Education is being dismantled, right? We're gonna go back to local governments running education, and telling us what we need to do. Are we gonna have this same mess again where these these programs that don't really have great standing, are they going to be pushed on us and we're going to be forced to use this to teach? Like how are we going to, like, what are our next steps? Like, how do we make up for all of this, like the status of our students and the lack of, what was it that you said? 32% of our students don't know how to read or aren't able to read or are reading below reading level. Like, how do we fix it? And like, what do we do?
Well, I think whether our government is in the place of states being in control of how their education systems are handled, or, it's a federal responsibility. I think all of that aside, I think that what I've learned is that I was quite ignorant.
Same.
To say, in thinking that every teacher would have the instinct to know to pair, or that they would have the time or the resources to pair. And so what I do believe is that there needs to be a real deep reconstruction of how programs in general, curriculum in general, are rolled out.
Mm-hmm.
And so starting at the top, which I think this lawsuit is going to shine a really bright light on this, and it's a very interesting idea. What is the responsibility of the curriculum designer?
Mm-hmm.
And their responsibility included in that is how they are giving out their product. I don't think that you should be able to just click on it, put in your credit card information, and buy it for the school.
Right.
I think it needs to be more intimate. I think they need to hire people that are, and maybe I'm wrong, but like consultants for the company probably do exist already. I haven't done any research on this specifically for Lucy Calkins and Heinemann, but the consultants need to be the people that are the differentiators. In the same way that we differentiate instruction for our students because everybody's coming to the table from a different understanding, all of the administrators are going to come to the table with different needs. Low-income schools, high-income schools, teachers that are double literacy majors, or teachers that don't yet have their bachelor's degree. And the consultants need to be prepared to talk to first the administrators about, here's what our program does, what are your needs, how do we appropriately roll this out? And then the administrators, once they're fully understood and the consultant feels comfortable with everything being understood on how to unpack it, and if it's a good fit for their district, then the administrators need to take the time to have that conversation with their, ideally, literacy coaches.
Yeah. Coordinators.
If they don't have a literacy coordinator, coach, whatever your title is, then having a meeting. No, you have to. You have to. Literacy coach,
you have to have somebody. Yeah.
And then that administrator is explaining what the consultant told them about, like, hey, heads up, the phonics instruction could use some supplementation, or like, it looks like you're already using this program foundation. Keep using that, and so I think you get the point, but it's the way that we differentiate for our students. It needs to happen all the way from Heinemann all the way down, and every single school, because especially now that the Department of Education is being dismantled, and we're looking at states being in charge of the way that our students are taught how to read, we have to understand that our country is so diverse.
Yes.
And every school is so different. And so...
as is the student body.
Right?
Right?
I think this lawsuit it could really change things in a great way.
Yeah. But it's not like replacing a light bulb. You don't just take out one and then put back in another. It's like you said, it
really
takes
multifaceted.
Time. Yeah. It takes time. It takes a plan, a logistic plan where it's like, and we were talking about this at lunch, and I love the idea where it's like you have to differentiate for your teachers.
Yeah.
So like if you're currently, and these are your words, so I'm quoting Cailin, if you have a teacher who's been teaching first grade, but doesn't have a strong phonics background in teaching phonics, but she's really good at, like, I don't know, the reading comp. Okay, you know what? You're going to go to third grade because that's where we need you to push that reading comp and, like, all that, learning from reading. And we're going to put this third grade teacher who's actually really good at the morphology.
Or has any background.
Yeah, or whatever teacher. And put them in. And then everybody's going to get trained as well. So yeah, even though I've taken you out of first grade and put you in third grade, you're still going to get training for all of these things so that you can come back to first grade, so be it, or whatever. Or we're taking that into account for you and your development as an educator.
So that leads us into like the wrap up, which is the what's next. And we try. I think this is also new, and so schools are quite literally scrambling to figure out what to supplement. But I'm hearing through students that I work with from a variety of public and private schools, there's a lot of foundations.
Yeah, we use foundations.
Haggerty.
Morphology.
And Orton Killingo.
Yeah, which I thought was amazing.
Love.
Yeah.
It's how I make a living. Shout out Ilsa. I ultimately left teaching because I spent so many years trying to put my finger on the pulse of like, why wasn't I reaching 100% of my students and teaching them how to read? And then this woman came into our school, and that's Ilsa Werther, and she started working with children through the Orton Gillingham approach, and I watched my students just make incredible gains. And since then, was just obsessed with the approach, and it's now my private practice. And it's, I do think, and I've heard this many times, it's quite challenging to do a whole group.
Yes.
Yes. And so...
And it's beneficial within, like, a very small...
It's, I think, designed for one-to-one, but I shouldn't say that.
I know they use it, or they do it, and especially just in some of their training videos, it's, like, max 4-to-1.
Sure.
But, like, where you're able
But teachers are doing it whole group.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a move in the right direction. I also think, that the idea of meeting your teachers and your school where they are as an administrator is really important, because even if there was like, oh, here's the magic program, it has everything
you need.
Even if that did exist, or you found all the pieces that you needed, the rollout takes a really long time.
And there's a lot of, like, what's it called? The us learning how to use it, us literally making copies, making flashcards, whatever, like just preparing the whole, for it to, the front loading of it, and then getting the system set up in your classroom and like actually rolling it out with your students. And it's a lot. It's a lot of logistics.
I hope that moving forward, and I'm saying this because I was this teacher. I hope that I was the teacher that was afraid of being the teacher, like the teacher in the front of the room, leading these kids in instruction. I hope that teachers are not afraid, and I hope that we could lean into, as we always say, balance. Yeah. But more than just balance, like, kids like to learn, and they want to learn from you. There are moments when they can self-discover, but they really just want to soak up some knowledge, and it feels good and it feels comfortable. And then once you provide them and scaffold for them all of the tools and knowledge that they need, then you can let them go.
Yeah.
And that'll feel much better in their tummies.
My mom would always say there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time and a place for teacher-led. There's a time and a place for student advocacy and student, initiative taking and all that. But you have to, and I think that's our job as teachers as well, like at the core, what is best for my students right now? The beginning of the year, that's when you set everything up. That's when your systems are being laid in place. That's when things are, you're developing all of those routines. And then, like, after Christmas, after winter break, okay, we can start. Sorry.
There's a variety of winter holidays.
No. Winter.
Speaking of students, I have to go teach.
Yeah, you have to go teach, and I have to take a train back to New York. This was amazing.
Yeah. So our next episode, I think we're considering pulling apart, like, what is the Board of Education?
Yeah, what is the Department of Education?
What is the Department of Education?
What does it do?
Historically, what has it done?
Yeah.
Have things worked well? Have they not worked well?
And if there is a dissolution of it, what could that potentially look like for us?
Ugh.
I know.
This is not going to be a fun episode to prepare for.
Mentally, physically.
Hopefully, children only run away like once a quarter. So maybe like that. Now that I had a runaway. Well, I shouldn't say that. He made me chase him.
He did. It was really
that's different than running away.
It was really beautiful too, because at one point he was like standing behind and kind of looking for you. It was it was a learning experience for me as well.
Yeah.
So also Lola and I got to chat it up, and it was great.
All right.
I was going to say something else now. I don't remember.
Oh, so sorry.
It's okay. No. Yeah. Look for our notes. Our website will be up soon. Oh, our prologue. We have not recorded that yet, but it's coming.
The prologue being like a little quickie mini episode of who we are as educators and where we came from. Yeah. Like, who are we to be sitting on this couch and why are we here?
Yeah, why are we here?
It'll be a quickie.
It'll be a quickie.
Okay.
In and out.
All right, I gotta teach.
Okay, and I gotta go.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Sound It Out podcast, episode 2, April 2025, the Lucy Calkins lawsuit, with your hosts Cailin and Shanida G. Gutierrez, produced by Cailin and Shanida Gutierrez. Editor and music by Shanida G. Gutierrez and GarageBand, with graphic design by Fiverr, and a special thanks to Ann Kiefaber for her generous location. Find us on Instagram at The Sound It Out Podcast, or on our website at www.thesounditoutpodcast.com.
Oh my god. I keep my legs asleep.
Okay, sweating. I said that at the end of the last one.